With cases rising, health officials are urging people to get vaccinated. Right now, the county meets the CDC's criteria for a high level of community transmission, which may impact the upcoming school year. For years, one area woman has been looking for a new kidney. To find a match, they've been putting up flyers around the community, and now they're taking that search to new heights to find a donor. The three-day event kicked off this morning at 9 a.m., and my goodness, traffic was already bumper to bumper with so many folks excited to learn more about Wisconsin's agriculture. Between Farwell Street and Dewey Street behind me used to be a parking lot. Starting tomorrow, it will become the temporary transfer center for Eau Claire transit buses. The books on her shelf say it all. Becca Simpson from Eau Claire is obsessed with coffee.
I want to teach like the average person how to make a better cup of coffee at home.
The first step, getting freshly roasted coffee beans.
It caramelizes them basically, and you wouldn't be able to drink a green coffee bean because it's too hard. You wouldn't be able to grind it. So it softens them, it caramelizes them, it brings out those natural flavors in it.
This pursuit of a great tasting cup of joe led Simpson and her husband to start roasting their own coffee beans around 2 years ago. They wanted to start selling to family and friends, but realized that's not legal under Wisconsin's cottage laws. Starting at home was the Simpsons' plan for getting their dream business off the ground.
But it was really more about slowly starting, getting a feel for, what other people are doing, what people like or don't like, and maybe kind of slowly growing that name and that following so that, when we get to this point, we're not kind of diving in.
Simpson says the cost of renting a commercial kitchen in addition to license fees are too costly for them right now as they both have full-time jobs. One of the plaintiffs in the current lawsuit, Chris Marion, says her goal is to help entrepreneurs like the Simpsons get their start.
It's really a big deal for small towns. And I think for urban neighborhoods too, to be able to have small businesses operating out of homes where people can experiment with their recipes, build their markets, and then graduate to a bigger brick and mortar type thing is a really big deal.
And when we were allowed to open back up with Behind the Wheel, we knew that we were going to be behind. And I mean really behind.
Marty Fadness is the owner of Safety and Respect Driving School in Eau Claire. For more than a month, programs like his had to pause the hands-on portion of driver's training. Fadness made a plan.
During the shutdown phase, we tried to jump ahead of things a little bit. From a hiring perspective, we tried to add some additional instructors. We tried to add some additional cars to our fleet so that when the state said go, we could dive into this thing and see if we could catch up.
While some students were waiting to get into the car for the first time, others who had already completed all their training were waiting to get their license. To deal with that delay, the DMV launched the Road Test Waiver Program.
That waiver program, then once they turn 16 and they've had 6 months of with their temps, and then all those lessons with us, then they can do the waiver. And the parents have to, basically co-sign with them to do that.
When the waiver program started, instructors like Dennis Johnson at Accountable Driver Education thought it'd be a temporary fix to a pandemic-created problem. As it looks to become a permanent option, Johnson has some doubts.
Now the problem with that system, and we have, like I said, we have no input, is that we get a few students that are not capable of driving yet. And the parents can just say, well, we want to give them the waiver. We don't want to have to do that. Had they taken the road test, they may fail.
50, 55, 60, 65, 66, 466.
These tick marks on the wall count the number of bicycles Michael Van Dusseldorp has fixed up from the shop in his garage since starting New Life Recyclery in March.
Once I get into something in my head, it's like I just go for it. And that's kind of what this turned into. And I was like, I love this, and honestly, now it's like nothing else really matters because this is where my heart's at. Van Dusseldorp takes bicycles in just about any state. If he can't fix it up, he can try to use its parts to repair a different bike. After fixing one up, the next step is to give it to someone in need. You can give somebody a bus pass, but a bus pass too, it expires, or something, buses only go to certain spots. With this, they have a bike that is their own. They actually own something, which gives them kind of that sense of, pride, and it allows them to go anywhere.
This mobility is a chance at a fresh start. That's something bikes helped Van Dusseldorp with after experiencing head trauma from a car crash.
I was constantly having pain and just laying in bed, feeling sorry for myself, and it got worse and worse and worse, which made my depression worse and worse because I felt useless. It wasn't until I started doing bikes, and I obviously have to ride them and test them to make sure that they're okay after I fix them, and I started doing that, and I was like, oh, I actually kind of feel better.
One bicycle at a time, Van Dusseldorp says his greater goal is to let those who may be homeless know that someone cares.